when he became the High King of the reunited kingdom of Arnor and Gondor in the year 3019 of the Third Age. He was 88 years old. But what happened in these past years? What did he do before The Lord of the Rings? Well, you have to stick to the end of the video to find out. But first, why did he look so young for 88 years old? Did Peter Jackson do a terrible job casting Aragorn? Well, actually, he did not. Aragorn is one of the Dunedain. He is their chieftain. But what do I mean with Dunedain, you might ask? The Dunedain are descendants of the people of Númenor. They were granted a long lifespan from the Valar after the defeat of Morgoth at the end of the First Age. The first king of Númenor, Elros, brother of Elrond, died at an age of 600. In the Second Age, after the downfall of Númenor, Elendil with his two sons Isildur and Anarion came together to Middle-earth with the rest of the faithful. They founded the kingdoms of Arnor and Gondor. After Elendil died at the end of the Second Age, Isildur ruled over Arnor. Later in the Third Age, around the year 1409, there started a war between Angmar and Arnor. It lasted until 1974, when the Witch King overruns Arthedain, the latest standing faction of Arnor. King Arvedui escapes north with the two Palantiri and dies at sea. Because there weren't many left, the Dunedain started to live in hiding, and Arvedui's son Aranar became the first chieftain of the Dunedain in the year 1976 of the Third Age. Arathorn became the 15th chieftain and wedded Gilrian in the year 2929, although her father Dithil was against this marriage, for she was too young by the customs of the Dunedain to get married. But her mother Ivorwin was far-sighted and saw that they would bring a child that would bring back hope to their people. So they bore a child named Aragorn, born on March 1st, 2931. Aragorn was only 2 years old when his father and the sons of Elrond were riding against the orcs, and Arathorn was slain by an orc arrow right in his eye. So Aragorn, now being the heir of Isildur, was brought together with his mother to Rivendell. Elrond took his father's place and loved him like he was his own son. They gave him the name Estel, which means hope. His true name and lineage were kept secret, because they feared that the enemy might be looking for him. When Bilbo and the dwarves halted in Rivendell in the year 2941 for the quest to regain Erebor, Aragorn was probably running around there somewhere. When Aragorn was 20 years old, he returned with the sons of Elrond after doing some great deeds. Elrond was pleased because he saw a fair and noble man, and at that moment Elrond called him by the name of Aragorn and explained to him everything about his past and lineage. He even delivered to him the heirlooms of his house, the ring of Barahir, which represents a token of kinship from afar, and he also gave the shards of Narsil, the blade that was broken, the blade that cut off the ring from Sauron's hand. Only the scepter of Enumenas he did not get, for that he still had to earn it. The next day Aragorn walked in the woods and sang the Lay of Luthien, and at that moment he saw an elf maiden walking on the grass between white trees. He thought for a moment that he was dreaming, or that the elf minstrels made what Aragorn was singing about. And on that moment, fearing that she would wander off, he shouted, "Tenuviel! Tenuviel!" like Beren did in the days of old. She turned around and asked why he was calling her by that name. It was Arwen and Domiel, daughter of Elrond, standing there. She just returned from staying with her grandmother, Lady Galadriel, in Lorien, and that is why Aragorn never saw Arwen until this day. A few days later he left Rivendell and said goodbye to his mother, the house of Elrond, and to Arwen, and he went out into the wild. In the year 2956, he met up with Gandalf the Grey, and the friendship started to grow between them. Much wisdom he gained from Gandalf during their travels, but later he started to travel alone again. Between the year 2957 and 2980 of the Third Age, he aided the kingdoms of Rohan and Gondor against the evil of Mordor. In Rohan he rode together with Rohirrim under command of King Tengel, Theoden's father. After that he went to Gondor and served under the steward Ictelion II, Denethor's father. There he was given the name of Thorongil, meaning the Eagle of Star, because he was swift and keen-eyed, and he wore a star upon his cloak. In Gondor he was granted the rank of captain for his great leadership on land and on sea. Ictelion loved him the most, and some believed that there was a rivalry between Thorongil and Denethor, but for Thorongil he was only there to serve. Denethor probably knew that Thorongil was the heir of Isildur and thought that he and Gandalf would replace him. Thorongil also advised the steward to be aware of Saruman and to trust Gandalf the Grey. Thorongil, with the permission of Ictelion, took some ships and led an attack against UMBAR. He won that battle with only a few casualties. There was great honor awaiting for him in Minas Tirith, but Thorongil did not return. He left a farewell message for the steward and left in the shadows from whence he came. After his work as Thorongil in Gondor and Rohan, he went to Lorien in the year 2980, and there he met again with Arwen and Domiel. Aragorn gave her the ring of Barahir, and he wanted to marry her, but Elrond said that he would only get her hand if he became the king of both Arnor and Gondor, because only a king would be worthy of his daughter's hand. Gandalf had some suspicion that Bilbo's ring was actually the One Ring, and Aragorn assisted Gandalf in the search for Gollum to get some answers about the ring, but that was without any success. They started their search in the year 3001, but Aragorn left the search in the year 3007 to go back to visit his mother in Rivendell before she died. In the year 3009, they restarted the hunt for Gollum. They traveled from the Vales of the Anduin through Mirkwood and from Rhovanion to the confines of Mordor. Gollum was at that time captured and interrogated in Mordor. Later, in 3017, Gollum was released from Mordor and traveled through the Dead Marshes. It is at that moment that Aragorn captures him and he brings Gollum to the Elven Kingdom of Thranduil in Mirkwood. After he left Gollum with the elves, he went west and met up with Gandalf at Sandford and learned of Frodo's plans to leave his Shire with the One Ring. Later he learned from Gildor's elves that the Nazgûl were looking for Frodo and that Gandalf was missing, and that is why he went to Bree and met the 4 hobbits. So there you have it, the story of Aragorn before the Lord of the Rings, before he met the 4 hobbits in Bree. If you want to know more about the rest of Aragorn's life, write it down in the comment section. And if you are curious in more history about Aragorn's ancestors, you better click the next video. Bye bye.